Breaking news this morning as Putin has announced a Easter truce. This came after an interview, which we'll talk about in a second, but a few things happened this week which got us to this point. We know that Donald Trump, not too long ago, made the announcement that if no real progress was made on either side to come to some kind of peace agreement, the United States would just pass on any negotiations moving forward. We also saw the United States hand Russia an outline to a peace deal, and then on top of that, just yesterday, we saw from the Russian news that Ukraine was getting ready to attack itself in Kharkiv and blame Russia. After all of this, we then woke up to today, in which Vladimir Putin sat down and announced that he wants an Easter truce, which, if you actually look when it's going to start compared to Russian time, it's going to start in roughly about 20 minutes and go into midnight on Easter Sunday. Remember, this is all Moscow time. On top of that, we now have an official announcement from the Russian defense minister, in which this is a rough translation. I literally just got it. I just translated it. And essentially, to kind of paraphrase it in a little bit in the beginning, it says, the Russian Ministry of Defense has released a statement confirming that starting tonight, which is at 1800 Moscow time, like I said before, in about 20 minutes, until midnight on April 21st, that they will halt hostilities across the entire front lines. It says the ministry says all military actions will be ordered to stop, adding that the decision was guided by humanitarian concerns. It also says here that Ukraine, at least they hope and expect Ukraine on all sides to do exactly the same thing. This, of course, is something that is very concerning, and I'll explain in a second. It continues by saying, at the same time, our troops must be ready to repel possible violations of the truce and provocations from the enemy, any of its aggressive actions as well. That sentence right there has a lot of people worried because they're doing a truce at the last very moment, 20 minutes before. It's physically impossible to get that word out to every single person on the front lines. And next is, when they say provocations, it's because that announcement yesterday saying that Ukraine themselves would be attacking their own city, and then this came out, makes it seem like Russia is trying to say, we're stepping away, and then that happens, and they go, see, look, we told you, the United States. Ukraine did this. We had nothing to do with this. We had a truce. That is one of those in which makes it go, wow, that is kind of interesting on how he kind of did that. And what is very concerning about most of this is that Putin is only postponing any hostilities for 30 hours, and that's it, instead of an unconditional ceasefire in which Ukraine had agreed to a few weeks ago. You can see the very difference here. Putin is trying to show the very bare minimum when it comes to these things, instead of actually saying we're going to go a week or 2 weeks or announce it to give it like a day's notice starting tomorrow. He gave them like barely an hour of, hey, we're going to go ahead and do a 30-hour ceasefire, which means that he's not really acting in good faith. And what is really strange is the fact that in that announcement, it says here that the Russians will, try to repel any Ukrainian provocations. That's a weird thing to put in a truce, especially when we had yesterday's announcement. And I have to keep bringing that up because Russia tends to do this a lot, where they announce we're going to do a truce on things. Like, for example, Russia today had struck Ukrainian energy in Sumy, causing a major blackout. They followed the truce, but didn't at the same time. They blamed Ukraine for breaking it, even though they've broke it multiple times. And if you actually follow the real truce, it actually goes another week. So Russia based their timing off of something that wasn't even there, and there really was no concrete information about that ceasefire, and it was confusing as heck. That's sort of what's happening here. There's a lot of confusion, and you know as much as I do. How are you supposed to explain to 200,000 men on the front lines to stop hostilities within an hour's notice is physically impossible. So you can see how unrealistic it is, while Putin's trying to make it seem like he's giving an olive branch. And that's the scary thing here. Because Putin knows what he's doing. He knows for a fact that he could say all these things, try to make himself look good, and just blame Ukraine for it, just like that Kharkiv thing. And I keep bringing up once again the Kharkiv thing because it really seems likely that they're getting ready to do a false flag operation on Sunday in Kharkiv. Now, like I said before, this was only announced now all in total about 40 minutes ago, so we really don't have much information or reactions from anything. I'm actually on Facebook at this very moment. I will pull up not Facebook, Twitter, pull up Zelensky's thing, and he hasn't announced anything in 20 hours or so. And I'll be sure to keep you guys updated on everything because this is happening extremely quickly, and I'm not quite sure what exactly is going to happen in the next 30 hours.